Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another video. Every season, the Hobey Baker Award is given to the most valuable college player from across the NCAA. Awarded to the skater who exhibits strength of character both on and off the ice, and who contributes to the integrity of the team and displays outstanding skills in all phases of the game, many previous winners have gone on to produce long and successful NHL careers, including 750-game veteran Tony Herkak, Vezina Trophy winner Ryan Miller, and even Hall of Fame forward Paul Kariya. Since the award is given to the best player across the collegiate level, and since the NCAA has cemented its reputation as a legitimate breeding ground for future NHL stars, many of the award's more recent winners have wasted little time adjusting to the show and have quickly become some of the top young players across the entire league. After all, 2014 winner Johnny Gaudreau is a 5-time NHL All-Star and won the 2017 Lady Byng Trophy. 2015 winner Jack Eichel is a 3-time All-Star and was the second overall pick of his draft class, while 2019 winner Cale Makar was Rookie of the Year in 2020 and a finalist for the Norris Trophy this past season. However, one winner has seen his highly anticipated NHL career shift from league-wide sweepstakes to hanging by a thread in just a few seasons of play. This is the story of Jimmy Vesey. From Hobey Baker to PTO. In order to tell this tale, allow me to take you back to June 23rd, 2012, when 18-year-old forward Jimmy Vesey, who had spent the prior 11-12 season with the Eastern Junior Hockey League's South Shore Kings and had scored a whopping 91 points in just 45 regular season games, was selected 66th overall in the third round of the NHL draft by the Nashville Predators. Though he could have spent the next 2 seasons as an overager, making a name for himself in one of Canada's various major junior leagues, Vesey elected to go to college instead, as he joined Harvard University for the 12-13 season. Having chosen to refine his game in the NCAA while getting a top-tier education at one of the best schools across the entire world, the American forward would make a strong first impression for his new team, as his 18 points in 25 games would help the freshman earn a place on the ECAC's 2013 All-Rookie team. After potting 22 points in 31 games as a sophomore during the following 13-14 season, the 20-year-old forward would take his game to a completely different level during his junior year and establish himself as one of the best players across the NCAA. With an incredible 32 goals and 58 points in just 37 games during the 14-15 season, Vesey had not only seen his production skyrocket during his third year on Harvard's roster, he had earned himself a number of accolades too, as he was named ECAC Player of the Year, given a place on the league's All-Star team, and was named a top 10 finalist for the Hobey Baker Award too. In fact, Vesey would come very close to winning the award, as he was named to the Hobey Hat-Trick as one of the award's 3 finalists on April 2nd, 2015. Unfortunately though, the 21-year-old would fall at the final hurdle, as he ended up losing out to Boston University forward and soon-to-be second overall draft pick Jack Eichel. Though he had just missed out on the highest award in collegiate hockey, thanks to his play over the following year, Vesey would get what he wanted the second time around. The 15-16 season would see Vesey return to Harvard's roster once again, suit up in his 4th and final year with the team, and earn the C on his jersey as the captain of the roster. Though his point production wouldn't reach the same lofty heights that he had achieved the year prior, the former third-round draft pick would ensure that he went out with a bang during his final season of collegiate eligibility, as the senior finished the year with an impressive 24 goals and 46 points in just 33 regular season games. While this performance would earn Vesey another Player of the Year award and another All-First Team berth, he also qualified for the Hobey Hat-Trick for the second year in a row. Though he faced fierce competition since he was up against future NHL regulars in Michigan forward Kyle Connor and Boston College netminder Thatcher Demko, the 22-year-old would finally prevail, as Vesey was handed the 2016 Hobey Baker Award as NCAA MVP. So after missing out on the award the year prior, and after developing into a vital member of Harvard's roster during his 4 seasons with the team, Jimmy Vesey had just been named the best college hockey player across the entire country. Not bad for the 66th pick of his draft class, eh, folks? With his final year at Harvard now complete, and having potted 144 points in just 128 NCAA games, Vesey's high-scoring performance had caught the attention of his draft team. Soon after his Hobey Baker win, Predators general manager David Poile reached out to Vesey and expressed interest in signing him to an entry-level contract so he could bring the forward onto Nashville's roster for the remainder of the 15-16 NHL season. However, Vesey would inform the Predators that he had no interest in signing with them, either for the end of that season or in the many years that followed. Instead, the American forward told Nashville that he wished to enter free agency and choose the NHL team that he wanted to sign with, something that any collegiate player can do if they are a senior and were drafted before their freshman season 4 years prior. Vesey was able to make this decision since the NHL's collective bargaining agreement gives each franchise 4 years to sign college draftees, but if the two sides cannot reach an agreement during their time in the NCAA, the player can enter free agency following his senior year. Having rejected Nashville's attempts to sign him, and having completely blown off the team that had drafted him 4 years prior, the next few months would see plenty of intrigue as to where Vesey would end up. Though the rest of the league were unable to sign him until he became an unrestricted free agent later that offseason, a number of NHL teams were eager to get their hands on the reigning college MVP. With him hailing from Boston, Massachusetts, and with rumours claiming that he wanted to play close to home, just before his Hobey Baker win on March 30th, 2016, it was reported that Vesey had planned to sign with his hometown Boston Bruins. However, while the Bruins were certainly interested in signing him, this claim ended up being false, as Vesey never put pen to paper on a deal with the team. With several months passing by, and with Nashville unable to change Vesey's mind, on June 20th, 2016, the Predators traded Vesey's contract rights to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for a 2016 third-round draft pick. Though he was still adamant that he wished to enter free agency and consider every offer available to him, Vesey's trade to Buffalo gave the Sabres nearly 2 months of exclusive negotiations with the forward so they could try and get a deal done before he became a UFA. Unfortunately for the Sabres though, Vesey wouldn't budge before the deadline, and the forward entered free agency on August 16th. Having finally become a UFA roughly 4 months after winning the Hobey Baker Award, the Jimmy Vesey sweepstakes were officially underway. With previous college MVPs typically entering the NHL via their draft team, the forward's decision to reject a contract with Nashville and enter free agency instead made him one of, if not the most highly coveted college player in recent NHL history. After all, in the first 48 hours of Vesey becoming a UFA, 12 different NHL organisations attempted to meet with him. Of those 12 teams, 7 of them were given a meeting, including the Bruins, the Blackhawks, the Devils, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Penguins and the Leafs, while the other 5, including the Hurricanes, the Blue Jackets, the Habs, the Red Wings and the Flyers, were denied the opportunity. After listening to a variety of pitches from across the league, Vesey finally made his decision on where he wanted to play. Just 4 days after entering free agency, on August 20th, 2016, it was announced that Jimmy Vesey had signed a 2-year entry-level contract with the New York Rangers. So after months of speculation, and after fielding offers from a dozen NHL organisations, Vesey had finally signed with the Rangers and would make his NHL debut under the bright lights of Broadway. Though he would never convert his superstar status from college to the pros, and though his scoring numbers would never reach the same lofty heights compared to his time with Harvard, Vesey's tenure in Manhattan would turn out pretty well for both the player and his new organisation. Over the course of his entry-level deal, Vesey would join the Rangers organisation and spend the next 2 years making himself at home in the Big Apple, earning the 2016 Lars-Erik Sjoberg Award as the Rangers' best rookie during training camp. The American forward would earn a place on New York's opening night roster for the 16-17 NHL season. From there, the 23-year-old would spend the entire year with the Rangers and produce a respectable rookie season, as he finished the year with 16 goals and 27 points in 80 regular season games. This production would also help Vesey get his first taste of the Stanley Cup playoffs too, where he scored 5 points in 12 postseason games, but the Rangers were eliminated in the second round by the Ottawa Senators. After potting 28 points in 79 games during the following 17-18 season, and having missed the playoffs during his sophomore year in New York, Vesey was in need of a new contract after his rookie deal came to an end. Since he had produced consistent scoring numbers during his first 2 seasons in the show, and he had secured his place as a top 9 forward on the roster, both Vesey and the Rangers were eager to keep their partnership going for a little while longer. Though he would enter unrestricted free agency once again, on July 17, 2018, Vesey signed a 2-year, $4.55 million contract with the Rangers, worth an average annual value of $2.275 million a season, in order to remain in New York. So after choosing the team during the Jimmy Vesey sweepstakes 2 years prior, and having become a consistent 30-point scorer in the show, Vesey would be sticking around on Broadway for the foreseeable future. However, he would no longer be with the team once his new deal was over. The 18-19 season saw the freshly signed Vesey suit up with the Rangers once again and look to take the next step in his overall game. Luckily for both the player and his team, he would do exactly that. Spending most of the year in the Rangers' middle six, as the Blue Shirts continued through the early stages of their rebuild, the former third-round draft pick would kick his production up a notch thanks to potting 17 goals and 35 points in 81 games. Not only would these numbers tie his single-season high for goals scored, he would also register the most assists and points of his entire NHL career to date. Unfortunately though, this improvement wouldn't be enough to help Vesey make another postseason appearance, as the rebuilding Rangers missed out on the playoffs for the second straight year. Having registered his most productive season in the NHL, and having cemented his reputation as a reliable depth scorer during his first 3 years in New York, Vesey was eager to take his game to even greater heights during the final year of his deal. However, the forward would soon be on the move. During the first day of free agency on July 1st, 2019, it was announced that New York had traded Vesey to the Buffalo Sabres, in exchange for a 2021 third-round draft pick. Though this trade seemed pretty routine on the surface, it supposedly became the first time in the history of pro sports that a player was traded to the same team with the exact same compensation on 2 separate occasions, since Vesey was previously traded to the Sabres for a 2016 third-round pick after he declined to sign with the Nashville Predators. You learn something new every day, eh, folks? So after choosing the Rangers during the Vesey sweepstakes, and after scoring 90 points in 240 games with the team, the forward was taking his talents to Buffalo in order to play the final year of his contract with the Sabres. Unfortunately, this move would signal the beginning of Vesey's descent in the NHL. The 2019-20 season would see Vesey make the move to Buffalo, don the blue and gold Sabres jersey for the very first time, and finally play for the team during his second tenure with the organisation. Though the 26-year-old was expected to take his game to the next level and add an offensive punch to the Sabres' top 6, things didn't quite work out that way. In fact, Vesey would take a sizable step backwards compared to his career year prior, as he ended up scoring just 9 goals and 20 points in 64 regular season games before the season was cut short due to the pandemic. Once his 2-year contract he had originally signed with the Rangers had expired, and having just recorded the least productive season of his NHL career at the time, both Vesey and the Sabres felt that the two sides should go their separate ways, so the forward entered free agency once again. Having become a UFA for the 3rd time in 5 years, the American forward wouldn't have to wait long to find a new team, as he signed a 1-year, $900,000 contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs on October 11th, 2020. So after a disappointing year in Buffalo, Vesey was moving north of the border for the first time and joining his 3rd NHL team in the last 3 years. However, Vesey's trip to Ontario wouldn't last very long. The recent 2021 season saw Vesey take to the ice with the Leafs and look to rebound from his lacklustre year prior. Though Toronto had tried to sign Vesey during the 2016 sweepstakes, and though he was eager to make a strong first impression for his new team, to say that he struggled with the Leafs would be quite the understatement. Despite beginning the season on Toronto's second forward line alongside captain John Tavares and high-scoring winger William Nylander, the 27-year-old was unable to make the most of his opportunity, as his disappointing play saw him shifted down the depth chart and used in a bottom 6 role instead. After scoring just 7 points in his first 30 games of the year, and after being placed on waivers by the team, on March 17, 2021, it was announced that Vesey had been claimed off waivers by the Vancouver Canucks, so he packed his bags and flew to the other side of the country shortly after. Having joined his 4th team in the last 3 seasons, Vesey would spend the rest of the year with the Canucks and score at an even weaker pace than his time in Toronto, as he potted just 3 assists in 20 games to bring his full season totals to 10 points in 50 regular season games. These underwhelming numbers wouldn't do much to help Vancouver's playoff hopes either, as the Canucks missed out on the postseason after making it to the second round the year prior, meaning Vesey had failed to make an appearance in the playoffs in each of his last 4 seasons. Once his 1-year contract he had originally signed with Toronto had expired, and having seen his scoring numbers practically cut in half compared to his disappointing season in Buffalo, Vancouver had no desire to keep Vesey around for the following year, so they left him unsigned and let him walk into free agency. Having become a UFA for the 4th time in 6 years, and with him coming off the least productive season of his entire NHL career by a pretty huge margin, the American forward would struggle to find another team interested in signing him for the upcoming year. As weeks turned into months, and with him still unable to secure a contract, Vesey realised that he would have to take what he could get if he wanted to stick around in the show. With him still left unsigned just weeks before the regular season got underway, on September 24, 2021, it was announced that Vesey had signed a PTO contract with the New Jersey Devils. So only half a decade after winning the Hobey Baker Award as the best player in collegiate hockey, Jimmy Vesey had seen his highly anticipated NHL career fall by the wayside, and he had to work harder than ever just to prove that he still deserved a place in the best league in the world. But how did this happen? Why did Vesey go from a highly touted, consistent depth scorer in the Rangers' top 9 to a guy who could barely reach double digits and could only secure a league minimum or PTO contract in the show? Well, if you ask me, I think it's due to Vesey being unable to translate his high-scoring play from college to the pros, as well as his inability or his unwillingness to develop his overall game. When looking at Vesey's career pre-NHL, the guy was always known for being a great goalscorer. For example, he scored 23 goals in 32 games during his final year at high school, potted 48 goals in 45 games during his draft year, while also notching 32 goals in 37 games and 24 goals in 33 games during his final 2 seasons at Harvard. Now, when he finally made the jump to the NHL and he started facing off against the best players in the world, Vesey was still a decent scorer, but he clearly took a notable step backwards, and understandably so. Sure, scoring 16 goals as a rookie and potting 17 goals in each of the next 2 years is certainly decent, but while his assist totals saw notable improvement, his goal totals seemed to flatline. To me, it seems as if his ability to put the puck in the net, the driving force behind his Hobey Baker win, had maxed out at 17 goals a season in the NHL, and Vesey was unable to figure out how to take his scoring to the next level. Since he was always a prolific goalscorer in years past, Vesey was able to mask the many weaknesses elsewhere in his game since he kept putting points on the board and the puck in the net. But when his scoring reached its plateau at the NHL level, or when points became hard to come by, Vesey's obvious deficiencies in his overall game meant that he couldn't adapt to the situation, and his skill set wasn't versatile enough to provide value elsewhere in the lineup. For example, Vesey has registered a positive plus-minus just once during his previous 5 seasons in the NHL, while registering a -10 or worse on 3 separate occasions. Sure, plus-minus isn't the most reliable stat to build an argument behind, but I think we can all agree that it's easier to ignore a player's inability to keep the puck out of their own net when he's scoring on the other team's just as much, if not more. Though he would produce a career year for himself offensively during his final season with the Rangers, Vesey's trade to Buffalo and the subsequent moves that have followed prove that he has failed to become a more complete player at the NHL level. After all, since his move to Buffalo, Vesey has struggled to put up consistent scoring numbers in every season that has followed, and has played for 3 teams in the last 2 years. He wouldn't be bouncing from team to team if his two-way game or his defensive play provided sufficient value to a roster. Not only that, since his season with the Sabres, the guy has signed a 1-year contract worth $900,000, was claimed off waivers midway through the season, and later signed a PTO for the following year. His overall value, both to a team and monetarily, clearly took a huge hit when he started struggling with his scoring. There's a reason he's moved to his 5th NHL team in the last 6 years, you know. If you ask me, I think Vesey's situation was perfectly encapsulated during the Toronto Maple Leafs All or Nothing series, when Leafs head coach Sheldon Keefe said that Vesey had been brought to Toronto, quote, to make a difference, but his play had been very vanilla, to which Vesey responded that, quote, it sounds like you don't understand my game. Given that the guy would join his 4th NHL team in 5 years shortly after that exchange, Vesey should have spent more time working on his game and less time trying to make people understand it. Who knows, he might have become a mainstay on a roster, or even become a productive scorer in the league if he had. But I digress. Though he would have to fight tooth and nail to remain in the best league in the world, Vesey would soon show that his NHL career wasn't done just yet. The current season saw Vesey join New Jersey for their 2021 preseason schedule, look to prove that he still had some gas left in the tank at the NHL level, and earn a full-time contract with the team. Thanks to his play in the weeks that followed, the 28-year-old would do exactly that. After scoring 2 goals in 3 preseason games, on October 10th, 2021, it was revealed that New Jersey had signed Vesey to a 1-year contract worth $800,000. So after watching his NHL career free fall over the last few seasons, and after nearly losing his place in the show, Vesey had secured another contract with an NHL team, and shall be sticking around the league for the rest of the year. Since then, Vesey has spent the entire 21-22 season with New Jersey, and has found some early success during his tenure with the Devils. In fact, with 4 goals and 6 points in 16 games at the time of this recording, the 28-year-old seems to be producing somewhat of a comeback year, as he is on pace to register similar scoring numbers to his 20-point year with the Sabres 2 years prior. Not the greatest production, of course, but given that he barely cracked double digits during his stint in Canada last season, he is clearly taking a step in the right direction. So how did Vesey earn a contract from his PTO, remain with the team to this very day, and produce somewhat of a resurgence on the scoreboard while he's at it too? Well, by the looks of it, the forward has finally embraced a new role for his team, and has completely changed his game in order to do so. According to Devils general manager Tom Fitzgerald, the team really liked how Vesey's game was, quote, different than it was in college or with the Rangers during his tryout with New Jersey, as it was clear that the forward had realised where he's at in his career, what he brings to a team, and what he needs to be a player that continues to play at the NHL level. Perhaps the biggest factor in him coming to this realisation, though, was when Fitzgerald sat down with Vesey and spoke frankly with him about how he needed to reboot himself into a different type of player if he wanted to earn a contract with the team and stick around in the league. Fitzgerald told Vesey that the Devils, quote, had enough skill, and they needed players who were willing to play heavy and take hits, and he felt that Vesey had both the skill set and the frame to be that guy. Fitzgerald mentioned how he wanted Vesey to, quote, be a penalty killer, be a guy who blocks shots, be a guy who gets to the net and uses his frame, and be a guy who finishes checks. Essentially, Fitzgerald wanted Vesey to become a versatile player that could be relied upon to step up in key situations. And based on his performance so far this season, Vesey has done exactly that. Though he hasn't returned to his career-high scoring numbers of years past, it's clear that Vesey has made great strides in his overall game and has become a more complete player from the second he joined the Devils. Spending most of the season in the Devils' bottom 6, Vesey has quickly become one of New Jersey's top penalty killers, a role he gained some experience with while playing for Devils head coach Lindy Ruff during their respective tenures in New York. Also, Vesey would previously struggle to provide value for his team if he wasn't putting the puck in the net, but now that he has started utilising his big frame to finish checks and drive hard to the net, he is not only playing a more complete game, he is actually generating more offense than he was in years past, and is picking up a few extra points that he may not have gotten in prior seasons. This change in his overall playing style, coupled with him working hard on every single shift and getting into the tough areas of the ice, has meant that Vesey has become a valuable member of the Devils roster and has more than earned his keep so far this season. It may have taken a few years too many, but it seems like Vesey has finally learned from his past mistakes and has figured out how to become an effective, more complete player in the NHL, whether he is scoring or not. Though he was once deemed the best player in college hockey, and though his NHL career has taken several turns for the worse, Jimmy Vesey has travelled a long and difficult road in order to get to this point. Sure, he may not have lived up to the hype that comes with being a former Hobey Baker winner, and his tenure in the show has been decent at best and disappointing at worst, but Vesey seems to have realised that in order to get his career back on track, he needed to step away from the spotlight and accept a role in the supporting cast instead. That isn't easy for a guy who has been the star at every other level he has played at. It may not have turned out quite the way that anyone would have predicted, but here's hoping that Vesey embraces his newfound role and continues to find success in his NHL career. After all, his tenure in the league has been quite the roller coaster ride, that's for sure. And that was the story of Jimmy Vesey's journey from Hobey Baker to PTO. What do you guys think about Vesey's career up until this point? Do you think he has lived up to the hype as a former college MVP, or do you think he needed to evolve his game in order to stick around? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further, and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.